Everybody, it's Randy Williams. It's Tuesday night, it's 5:30, and we're going to do some live credit counseling scenarios to kind of give you an idea what credit counseling is truly and all about. And I reached out to this week and put an event together for live credit counseling, and I wanted to get some ideas, some scenarios, or some thoughts people may have, or things they want to be able to questions and answers on some of the situations they had. So I said, please email me your questions, and if you don't mind, email some scenarios that you're going through, and I'll go ahead and do some answering of those live. And I got a couple great ones today that gave me full-fledged budget scenarios, and I was like, well, those would be perfect to go live. But when we're dealing with the Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service, one thing you need to understand is everything is extremely confidential. We don't share information with anybody. I don't even share information with your creditors. All we do is help you solve problems. The last thing we need to do is have your information spread out anywhere, and that's one thing I promise will never happen here at the Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service. So we are extremely confidential. So let's go ahead and step into this first scenario I got tonight, and it was really interesting because I was able to get income and expenses along with the debt. So with having those three major combinations, it allows me to know a few things. One, how to help you. Two, if helping you really works, and what is the best options for you. Maybe credit counseling is not your best option. Maybe we just need to do some budget structuring. Maybe we need to do some different cutbacks in your budget to make things work for you a little better. Maybe credit counseling is what you need, because credit counseling is basically, helping you solve your problems at a lower interest rates, lower payments, trying to make things fit within your budget to make things better for you. Sometimes bankruptcy is your option. I know we don't want to talk about that, but it is a true situation in life, and sometimes you need to file bankruptcy. And one thing I will tell you at a Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service, I will be the first person to tell you that if you need to file, it's something you need to do. We are approved with the United States Trustees Division for that reason, because the last thing we want you to do is just waste your life. We want you to get your life back. That's the object of what we do. We wrote the book, Own Your Life, and we meant it. We'd love for you to own your life. And that's what we believe in here at a Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service. So what we're going to do is take a look at a couple of scenarios that I got, some questions I received. I'm going to start off with a couple questions. One of the questions is, will I go over student loans? Absolutely. I believe student loans should always be solved. I had a scenario today that was really perfect. A lady called me in. We're going through her budget, and she's running about a couple $100s a month short because she has 2 kids, a regular job. She's not really making great money, but she's trying to raise her family. She's also divorced, and she has student loan debt that was running around $350 a month. Now, they're all government loans, so this wasn't any private kind of savior, but we went into the government website. We went in and looked to see what her options were. She did qualify for an income-based program. We put it based off her income. Her new monthly payment is now $25 a month, unless her income continues to increase. Now, every year when you're in an income-based program, just in case you want to know, you file taxes. And every time you file taxes, that's basically telling people what your income is, how many family, what your family size, and the whole 9 yards is. So there's 2 things to remember in an income-based program. One, if you're married, never file married. Always file separate. Married filing separate. And that way your husband or your spouse's income is not part of the calculation of paying back your student loan. It's only your income. So make sure you do that up there and keep that up. Another thing to keep in mind is income base is only there to help people that really need income base. Because what you're doing here is you're putting yourself on a long-term contract with the government and your student loans. And when you're on an income base, you're basically not making full payment because you can't afford it. It's based off your income. So your balances are kind of growing a little bit while you're doing this. If you get to the 25-year mark, which is the forgiveness line of any kind of student loan, the forgiveness point at the 25-year mark, they forgive you for what you owe. Of course, at that time, you have to include it as income, because anytime you're forgiven a debt, whether you settle a debt or anything in that caliber, anytime you save money on something you owe, you have to include it as income. So there's things to keep in mind about income base that you want to know what you're doing when you get into it. Let's say 5 years from now you get down the road and all of a sudden you're making really good money. I highly recommend going off income base and going back to a standard loan program. I had another friend of mine that was on an income base, started off around $350 a month, shot up to about $1,200 a month when he got his company running. He was making really good money. So we consolidate back into a fixed loan of $750, and he's got his life back and he's happy. So there's all kinds of possibilities to solve student loans. It's truly up to you to allow it. Now, there's companies out there that want to consolidate your student loans. All right, I'm a firm believer you don't have to pay money to consolidate your student loans unless you just don't want to do it. So I always tell people, if you want to learn how to consolidate your student loans, go to our website, or on Facebook, we actually have a show about consolidating student loans that shows you how. Or you can call me, and I'll be more than happy to go over the information with you, try to help you solve your student loans, and try to figure out a plan to help you out. But one thing to keep in mind, it's about you. You're the one that's got to make the effort to solve your financial problems. Because if you're not taking the steps to go forward and solve your financial problems, the only person you're hurting is you. And the one thing we need in life is to be able to raise our family. We need to put a roof over people's heads. We need to educate ourselves. And we need to make sure we have transportation. Everything else is irrelevant. We need to learn to get out of debt and build our future so we can use the money we work so hard for to make sure we enjoy our life and not the credit card companies. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to hop into this scenario here real quick that I got today that I thought was real exciting. And once again, I will say this right off the bat. I got a scenario and all the numbers are round. Well, if anybody knows me very well, I'll be the first person to tell you there's no such thing as round numbers in a budget. I'll tell you that until I turn blue. But a true budget is an accurate budget. But a regular budget that most of us deal with is a round budget. So we kind of round things up. Utility bills about $250. That's $225. You know, you pay. I spend $120 a month in gasoline. Do you? Or what do you spend in gasoline? It fluctuates. So that price changes. So you're guessing there. So this is the reason why I push the Own Your Life story, the Own Your Life book, the ebook that we do, because I want people to get on budgets. I want you to learn actual and estimate versus actual. I want you to learn how to get control of your budget. So these are things that are free for you to use at any time, and you got me to help you in the background. If you need any assistance, questions, advice, or just thoughts, I'm absolutely free. It's up to you to reach out to me. I'm trying tonight, but it's up to you. So let's take a look at this scenario, because when I saw it and I started implementing it into the system, I knew this was really tough. We have a total net income of $3,500 a month take home. And when I went through the expenses, now I go through the expenses thoroughly. I don't go half into this, and I really appreciate it because they did too. Because I always preach, let me know the truth. And they did. And they went down through rent, utilities, car payment, car insurance, gasoline, groceries, cell phone. They even got in here the partial daycare they do. They even got Hulu and Netflix. Their subscriptions. They got their internet subscriptions. They got their ties and their haircuts and their cosmetics. At least they told me the truth. And I'll take that all day long, because sometimes when we're working on this, we kind of leave out the little things that really make our life happy. And one thing about a debt coach, I'm not here to cut your life. I'm here to save it. So we need to figure out a way to get to the bottom line and figure out the truth. But here's where the problem lies. They gave me the debt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the name of the creditor, how much they owed, what their current payment is and what my new payment is, and what their interest rate is and what their new interest rate is. And at the end of this, trust me, there's going to be a method to my madness, so work with me here. But you're going to get an opportunity to see exactly what a credit counseling service can do. Because based on what I'm looking at here, they need to file bankruptcy before I even get started. So now it's time to jump in as a credit counselor to see if we can avoid that, because they got a very tight budget. The first debt is a Discover card. A lot of us have those. They're a very good company. They're very good they work with credit counseling too out there. They're very supportive. I like Discover card. But in this scenario, they owe about $4,569. Their regular monthly payment is $115 a month. Interest rate is only 19.19, which is not bad for Discover card. I have seen that a little higher. I have seen it a little lower too. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the payment to $92 a month, which is the agreement we have with Discover card, which is based on the percentage of the balance. The interest rate would be reduced to 6.9%. So now we just reduced the interest rate basically 13% across the board, just on the first debt. Now by having a smaller minimum payment, it's going to go a lot further at reducing this balance because the interest rate's lower. When you have a minimum payment and you have a high interest rate, basically all you're doing is covering interest and your debts go nowhere. And if you wonder why most credit cards are based on a 13-year plan, that's it. And if you don't believe me, look at your credit card statements, because they have to report that to you now. So they'll tell you exactly what, if you make a minimum payment, how many years it takes you to get out of debt. Check that out. You're going to be amazed. Let's go to the next one. Bank of America. Great company. Love Bank of America. They're real supportive of credit counseling. Balance of $2,252. Not a big account. That's fine. Interest rate's 19.9. Not bad. Their monthly payment's 68, ours is 52, and their interest rate would be reduced to 5.99. Now, Bank of America does have specific rules we have to follow, and that means I have to make sure all their debts are included. And in this scenario, they are, so I will be able to help them with Bank of America. Oh, One Main Financial. Great. I mean, they're a finance company. Finance companies are there for a reason, but at least One Main and World Finance, Public Finance, and Springleaf, they work with credit counseling service to help you. They help making sure their clients don't go bankrupt. Not like an Eagle Finance that refuses to help anybody and charges 10% above the usury law. That's a different story. We're talking about some decent finance companies. Now, One Main Financial, they owe $7,826. Their monthly payment's $275. The interest rate is 29.99. Now, the deal I worked with One Main lowers the payment to 2% of the balance, which makes the payment $157 a month, which is going to really open this budget up to avoid bankruptcy. And I get to drop the interest rate to 12%. So we have a chance to not only to lower the payment, but actually make headway in getting out of debt. Lane Bryant. Lane Bryant is a high, very high interest rate loan. They're pretty up there. They're every bit of 29%. But in this scenario, I was told they're 22.99, so that's not too bad. Their minimum payment on the Lane Bryant, they only owe $650 on it, so the minimum payment is $25, and my payment's going to be $20. It's not much of a savings there, but the interest rate's $10, and that is a savings. 7th Avenue, these little store cards, I love them. $603 balance, $30 monthly payment, interest rate of 29.99. New interest rate of 9.9, lower the payment to 20, savings of $10. Looking at Citibank. Now, Citibank represents a lot of companies out there. They're just not Citibank. There are gas companies, there are Best Buy, there are a lot of different companies out there that they represent. And they get the same policy across the board, like they own Sears, all these different things. They get the same policies across the board. So this situation, they owe $7,538. The current monthly payment is $225 a month. This Citibank's at 19.99%, which is a little higher than Citibank. They're usually right around the 16-17 range. Don't get me wrong, they could be above 22. Depends on where you stand with Citibank. The new payment is $174 a month. The interest rate has been dropped to 9.9. Hey, you getting a common theme around here? Interest rates dropping by 13 to 14% across the board is definitely going to open this budget right back up and give us a chance to get out of debt. The next debt is Dress Barn. I've been to one of those stores before. They owe $750, current payment of $30, interest rate of 24.99, new rate of 9.99, and a monthly payment of $20. Not big of a savings, not a big balance, but the interest rate's going to help us tremendously. American Express, their final debt that they owe. They owe American Express about $4,892. Their monthly payment's $123 a month. Interest rate's at 19.99. Our new payment's going to be $84, and their new interest rate's going to be 3%, which is the deal I have with American Express. Now, does any of this sound like you? Does any of this sound like your budget as you're going through this? Does this sound like your budget? Because they're currently paying $891 a month on their own towards their debt, which, based on their budget, their income, and their expenses, puts them every bit of $210 a month short in handling their budget. This is probably the reason why you see the credit cards growing, why you see them going further and further in debt. Because most likely they're paying all their bills, but they're using their credit cards probably for groceries, gasoline, and different things, which is a common thing we do when we're struggling and we're trying to make ends meet. So if you find yourself in that situation, don't panic, don't worry. We got solutions for you. Okay, let me go over the solution for this one, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Current payment of $891. New payment of $619. That's a savings of quite a bit. If I use my brain, it's probably about $275. Now, if you look at the overall time frame, this is where it gets real interesting. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate this up because I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I'm going to calculate this up real quick. And it'll tell me exactly how long it's going to take them to get out of debt, how much interest they're going to save over the time, and basically what their current plan is now. So I have something to really compare it on. And that's why I really love the scenario I got today. It's nice to get true facts. So at the current moment, if you look at their overall budget, they average interest rate on all their debts at this moment is 23.48%. That's an average interest rate across the board. Their current monthly payment is $891 a month. At this pace, with their interest rates, they're going to be paying back for the next 66 months, which is 5 years and 5 months, is what it's going to take to get them debt-free at this pace. And they're going to pay a total of interest of $17,636.98 in interest while they pay this debt back. The Debt Coach's new plan. Are you ready? A new average interest rate across the board of 8.45. New monthly payment of $619. It's going to take us 54 months to get out of debt, which is 4 years and 5 months. Now, I bet you're going, now hold on a second. How in the world can you lower someone's payment by $275 or $85 and get them out of debt faster than they're getting out of debt on their own? Well, the answer is interest rates. Interest rates are killers. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing going on in this country right now. I mean, our economy's coming back. Our mortgage interest rates are at 3%, which is dumb. They should be higher because we should be able to afford better money now. We can't save anything because the savings plans are really dumb. They're at 1.9% on CDs, which no one's going to put money in savings. The only thing that's really hurting us right now is interest rates on credit cards because they're still 20%. They've never changed. So they're not giving you that break. But when you lower it to 8.45% across the board, now you're making headway with your payment. That $619 a month is actually going towards principal, which is giving you a chance to get out of debt. Also, once I pay a debt off in full, I'm taking that payment and I'm rolling it to the highest interest one. And I'm going to snowball this effect until I wipe it out. And when I'm done, you're only going to pay back $2,125.43 in interest while I pay your debt back. And that saves you $15,511.55 in interest. But the best part about this, the only thing that really matters to me, because I understand the savings, I understand how it opens the budget, but what really gets me now is this lady can breathe. It's still tight, but she has $73 a month left over after all her bills are paid, all her expenses are paid. That's better than being $200 in a hole. So she's no longer going to go in debt, any further in debt, because now we're going to maximize her budget a little better, get control of it a little bit, and see if we can find a little bit of extra rooms by working on groceries and planning our list ahead and doing different things that helps us get control of our budgets instead of just spending and trying to keep track of it. And that's what round numbers tells me. So I want to get in there with them and I want to go over that. And it's the same scenario I would with you. Your budget is by far the most important part of your life. Whether you do it in your head or whether you do it on paper, your budget is the key to your future. If you're not budgeting, you probably realize you're not sure where your money goes, or you can't keep track of everything, or you have a hard time planning for the future. Well, that's right. That's because you're not budgeting. But to learn how to budget is very simple. It's really a habit. It's not just something you really pick up. It's a habit. It's something you build over time. And that's why I wrote the book, Own Your Life. It's an ebook. It's only 29 pages long, so it's not going to drag you out. It's not like we have to do 2 sequels to make the last film of the movie, Hobbit. Thank you, dragging that puppy out for 2 films. But my point is, you can get this done, you can read it, you can get started on it, and you can get it affected in your life immediately. We have a game in there called Estimate versus Actual. Instead of figuring out the past, why don't we go forward and figure out your future while we experience it? No better way of setting up a budget than figuring it out, saving receipts, planning ahead, and building a habit. That's what you need to do to be successful in life. and I'll preach it until I roll over. You got to build a habit. You got to build a budget. And I'm here to help you do it. And I teach budgeting and how to budget and education on budgets absolutely free. Now let's go back to this scenario that we just finished up. I just saved them $285 a month. We opened their budget up. I bet you want to know how much I'm going to charge. I know you want to know how much I'm going to charge. So I'm going to tell you exactly how much I'm charging. This customer right here, I'm charging a $65 upfront startup fee. That allows me to get all the information in, get all the proposals electronically out to the creditors, get all the creditors set up so they waive the late charges, waive the over limit fees, and they set the accounts to be re-aged and brought back current within the next 3 payments, and they get the program set so we can get the interest rates lowered. That's what happens with the $65 that I get for the startup. Every month, included in that $619 monthly payment, is my service fee of $30. Now, I have a $30 service fee because I don't know exactly what the true balances are. We're close. But, she gave me what they are today, but by the time she decides to join, maybe one of these cycle, and you get a little bit of interest kicked in and a higher balance. Well, that's what that service fee is. It comes from the service fee. So my goal is to find that payment in your budget that I know you can afford, that doesn't hurt you, that gives you a chance to get yourself out of debt and get you a chance to clean things up. Joining credit counseling doesn't hurt your credit. Doing debt settlement hurts your credit. Missing payments hurts your credit. These are the things that hurt your credit. Carrying too much debt hurts your credit. Let's learn how to get yourself out of debt, get your credit back, and get your life back so you can use this money. That's $23,000, by the way, that right now we owe out there in this scenario. Can you imagine having $619 a month in your pocket? Imagine what that can do for your kids' education or retirement. Imagine what that could do if you're renting a home. You could buy a house. You could build your down payment. You could build your life. You can learn to pay yourself first. There's a reason we preach what we preach. And I know I sound like a preacher, but hey, a Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service is a Christian organization. So if I sound like I'm preaching, it's because I care. I just don't discriminate. I don't care about your beliefs. I believe in helping you. So my name is Randy Williams. I'm at a Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service. You can reach me at randy@adebtcoach.org, or you can call me at 888-767-9155. I'm located here in Florence, Kentucky. My phone number here is 859-488-7670. And my job is to help you. And I can't do it unless you call me. And since I started doing these shows, everybody's been reaching out to me, and we've helped several people get solved. And in the month of September, we had 5 people finish the program. 4 of them right now are going to save to become homeowners. One of them's actually going to be able to retire from her job. These are why I do what I do. This is not about money. $65 startup, $30 service fee, saved $15,000. You tell me if credit counseling's worth it for you. My name is Randy Williams. You have a blessed evening.